Hello, hello, hello. Hold on a second. Let me spotlight. I forgot. Where am I? Okay, let me spotlight. There. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. So I am excited for this. We are doing a guest expert. I love bringing in guest experts because my friends are badass ladies and men. And so this is our first guest expert for 2025, my BFF, Mary Grant from Ireland. And we're going to be talking a lot about her most recent book. But like I said, we'll be all over the place. This is her, I have got three of Mary's books on my desk. So the most recent book is called The Magnetic Female Entrepreneur. We're going to be talking to you about that. Some of you might have taken her, hopefully taken one of her scorecards, which gives you some answers. She has a lot of scorecards. A lot of scorecards. She's like the maestro at making these cool quizzes and scorecards to help you get new leads. Okay. That's the reason you do these quizzes. And Mary's first book was let me hold it closer, Empowered by Style. There we go. And then Unleash Your Inner Goddess. Am I missing any of the books, Mary?
No, you're not. It actually sounds really funny. You're like, Mary's books. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like I'm not a writer. It's like I just have a couple of books and it's like no big deal. And it's just something that we do, Diane. It's funny
Right.
because you were saying earlier, we think in books.
Yes, yes. This morning I was saying, oh my gosh, I think I'm writing this other book, and I have like these other books like sitting there. And I said, we think in books. And, normal people say, oh, I'm going to write a blog about this, right? I say, oh, I'm going to write a book about this, Mary and me. So, let's dive in. Let me get my official list here of questions. Welcome to the call, Thisha and Bridget. So Mary, and Mary's my BFF. She lives in Ireland. We talk all day. You all know this. We talk all day on Telegram. And I didn't post on Facebook, oh, I'm looking for my business bestie. I didn't send out an application process to find her. I've seen some people like, how do you find your business bestie? Well, I don't know how to tell you, but it's going to happen organically. So Mary's a fashion designer of 30 years. And I'm going to let her talk. Tell them your brief, like fashion, the brief fashion bio, and then your pivot to the coaching.
Okay, so like you said, I've been a fashion designer for 30 years. That was my sole identity for a long time. That's what I did. And then I pivoted towards coaching. I discovered this whole world of coaching that I never knew existed when I stepped into Daniel Priestley's world and I did his key person of influence program. And I was surrounded by all these coaches, and I was like, oh my God, I never even knew this world existed. And I had seeked him out because I was looking for community. I wanted a community of like-minded people. I had spent at this stage 28 years
Mm.
in a converted garage in my back garden, not having anybody to talk to about business stuff. And there was days I sat in the corner going, "Oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?" And I just had nobody to talk to, nobody to brainstorm about. So I discovered this world of coaching when I stepped into Daniel's world, and my mind was blown.
Mm,
My mind was absolutely blown, and I dived in
mm,
like the absolute lunatic that you know I am. The way we dive into things, I dived in, and I did my coaching diploma the first year of lockdown. So I did that in 2020. Started a membership, and realized when I was a couple of years into the membership that this was too low level. I just couldn't have these conversations about I need to go for a walk and I need to drink water. I was like, just effing do it. Just effing do it. Don't be talking to me. Why am I showing up every week only for you to tell me that you need to drink water? So I burned that membership down at the end of last year and I decided if I'm going to be in coaching, I want to go high level. I want to coach bigger problems. I want to have better conversations. I want to go here. I want to go high level. So that's what I did. Burnt the membership down. Was trying to do coaching alongside my fashion business, and decided I was going to burn my fashion business down as well
Mhm.
because all I wanted to do was this coaching that had just grabbed me, and it just wouldn't let go. So I mean, I didn't know why, and it's probably like so many people here, it's like you just get this draw for doing something and nothing's going to stop you. So I immersed myself into Rich Litvin's world for the last year, learning how to coach superheroes and badasses and goddesses and humble heroes and all of the people, all of the amazing people he has in his world. And it just lights me up like nothing else.
Mm,
So at the moment I'm in a sabbatical from my fashion business. That was due to start this month. And I announced the sabbatical with this notion that I'm just going to take a little break, but secretly I was never coming back. So I decided just as I was about to start the sabbatical, it's like, oh my God, I can't do that because I'll have nothing to wear. So I've decided I'm going to rebrand my fashion business, get my name off that,
mm,
and do it intentionally so that I can actually exit in a
mm.
few years' time. So that's my plan. What was the question again?
Exactly. That's exactly it. What was the question? And who am I? And what's my name? No, so I love it. I love it. So there's so much in that. So what you guys don't know, so when COVID hit, so I'm going to fill in some gaps if that's okay, Mary. Is that okay? So when COVID hit, Mary had two beautiful stores, high level, dressed, beautiful outfits, stores in Dublin, Ireland. And, everything in the whole world shut down. And and this is the power of innovation, right? This is the power of entrepreneurship. She and her daughter, Bro, who's amazing too. I've seen these women many times in person, many times. And that's intentional, right? We have to make a big effort to see each other when you live across the world. But when COVID hit, they started doing these Facebook Lives or, Facebook Lives, Instagram Lives, just kind of trying to like entertain themselves and the clients that have been following them for 30 years, buying their clothes. And women started buying, loving it, buying the clothes. Mary can do a launch and the women are all waiting. They're just waiting. They're like sitting there like at their desk at the computer like until she flips the switch and they all go running over to buy her newest designs, right? So she pivoted into capsule launches, capsule wardrobe. She's done 8, unless my brain is wackadoo. 8. I'd probably know her story better than she knows it.
Honey?
She has done 8 of these, and she had to in order to keep making a living. Mary does not have another income. She's not married. She raised her 3 children, from when they were 5, 3, and 1. Am I getting that right?
Hmm.
And as a single entrepreneur, having these, building a company, building an empire. So COVID made her do the shift, and then she realized, okay, wow, I can actually sell without this overhead, right? Not having to pay for 2 huge shops saved her a lot of money. Amen. So then she pivoted to do one in March and one in September. So it would be like the spring collection drops, all the women will run over and buy all the things, and then there's still clothes left, kind of the staples. And when it's sold out, it's sold out. Now there's a lot of marketing lessons you're going to be hearing along the way here. Write them down or type them in the chat because we're going to leave plenty of time for that. Maybe. We're going to stay on after because there's going to be a lot here. And so like she just said, in the midst of this, she's selling these capsules, she's learning about coaching, and we meet, was it 2021?
21, 22. thereabouts.
somewhere in there. So
Mm.
you guys know I'm passionate about masterminds. Most of you here in the room are in my mastermind or want or should be or want to be. Let's tell the truth. And I met Mary in a mastermind, the one I was in with Jamie Bright, and we actually met for the first time in Phoenix, Arizona. And I think she probably just thought, well, I mean, I know she did. She's like, what is this? Who is this weird Diane girl? And why in the world is she talking about religion and business in the same sentence? Like that's not acceptable in the UK or in Ireland or just there's a lot of places that that isn't acceptable. And but we're totally cool with each other. She has her beliefs, I have mine, we're good. Um, and so I'm going to ask you another question, Mary. You cool?
Yeah,
Okay. So Mary's written 3 books. You guys know I write books. A lot of you in the room have books, and or you might be writing your next book. So Mary, tell us about how you write your books and how fast this one came out, and kind of what you and I know to do now that we didn't know at the beginning.
mm, hmm. So my first book was written 2018, 2019. I thought I was going to have it out in a month.
Hmm.
Didn't know how to write a book, but I was following a process that I had been shown in Daniel Priestley's World. It took 18 months for that one to be done. And that was me working on it all the time. 18 months. Um, and I guess that's just your first book. It's like you don't know how it works, you don't know what the process is. So the second book, this book was a rewrite of that first book. I wanted to clean it up, tidy it up. This I actually this was on my to-do list, and then when I did my TEDx, I decided I need to clean this book up so that I can relaunch it, just after the TEDx. So that was like a shorter version, a tidied up version, taking out a lot of what people didn't need in the first one. That was done quite fast, but it was just like almost like a new edit of the first book. So we won't count that one. And then there was this one. So this one was written as a tiny book. It ended up being a full-size book. It was supposed to be a tiny book of 5 chapters, no more than 80 pages. And we did it as part of a challenge with Rich Litvin's World. He was doing this book writing challenge. And I was like, there's no way anyone's going to have their book written. They're going to be rubbish books and blah. And you need to give people longer because they're going to be prouder to have this book in their hand. And we need to be proud of our books and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, whatever, just it'll get people moving. So I think that was mid-July we started that, and we had until the end of August to submit the manuscript of this book. And I was like, never going to happen. Anyway, I did get it done. But to get it done, I literally took over my kitchen for the 6 weeks. My poor kids, they were walking in, like we come in the back door into our house. I started by laying out all my cards with my chapters and moving them around. And I discovered I worked really well standing at the breakfast bar. So it was done there, and then it spilled onto the table. And literally 2 days later, the whole kitchen, every space in the kitchen was covered with these books. The lads were quite happy they were allowed to have dinner on their lap. That was great. But what I realized was every time I tidied up my cards, it took me like 2 hours to get my head back into it. So I ended up leaving everything out. And I decided I'm going to write it this way. I sat at the table, and I'd have the chapters laid out, and I'd be adding bits, and I'd be adding frameworks and adding notes, and each chapter had its little thing. And I literally moved my chair along the table each day, updating the chapters. It's like, update this one a bit, update this one a bit, move that one on a little bit. And that was me for the first, like literally for 4 weeks, I was going like this
Hmm.
along the table. And the book was getting bigger and the chapters were becoming more. So it ended up being 20 chapters, I think. Um, and 3 of those were thrown in at the last minute because Rich Litvin actually came up with I think I had Magnetic Entrepreneur was what I had. And he came back and literally upset the apple cart. He gave me the tagline, he changed the title, and I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. but my book doesn't add up to all this. So frantically, like a week to deadline, I was like, fuck. So I had to dive in, see, what was missing, what didn't measure up. But it really upped my game.
Mm.
This really upped my game. It upped how I felt about the whole project. And I was like, I am going to get this done. It's going to be so worth it. It's like, I really felt like this was something I was going to be so proud of. So I got the manuscript submitted at the last minute. And because I was getting my son to design the interior of the book, I had a lot of the work done. So it was almost like a polished book, but in PDF form at that stage. So it was like 6 weeks,
Mhm.
6 weeks start to finish.
Mhm.
It was insane. It was insane. It was insane.
I love it. Well, and I did my last book, The Mastermind Effect, in like 5 to 6 weeks as well. And what we've learned is to move fast, to move faster, right? To take that when you have the thing, don't take 5 months, don't take 5 years. My gosh, like go towards the dream, go faster. And shorter books right now are the only books I want to read, right? In my first book took, I don't know, same amount, a year and a half of like reading and printing and we didn't have AI back in the day, right? We were like actually doing some research and we so if and we know they're called shooks, short book. My people, we all know that term because nobody wants to read anything longer than that. I need it to be something I can read on the airplane, right? I need it to be fast, like a 2.5 hour flight, happy, highlighter. And so you guys just heard, how she's speeded it up, how she leaned into her own process. If you would think better standing up, stand up. If you need, I take over my dining room table and it just becomes papers and stuff everywhere so that I can think. Because
Mm,
sometimes we can't think on at our normal desk. Okay. Which sounds ridiculous, but it's the truth. And sometimes you're going to need to speak your book out. And guess what? There's a lot of apps for that. There's a lot of apps where you can speak out your words. Some of them sometimes what you say to your bestie on Telegram or Voxer or your coach is actually all the words you need to plot, like cut and paste and plop them over here in the book or
mm,
plop that entire thing and then translate it so you're not saying, oh, Mary said this and Ruth said this and Diana was freaking out about this. Translate it so you can go post it on your social media. So you can send that email, right? Because the juicy nuggets are behind the scenes.
mm.
Amen. That's where the juicy nuggets are. And oftentimes we're like, oh, whatever. One of Mary's words for this year is whatever. That's not her official word. That's her vibe word, I think.
My word, yeah.
What's your official word for the year, Mary?
I can't remember. Fearless.
Oh yeah, yeah, fearless.
Yeah.
Fearless is her official word, but she's decided, and I think we all need this, like what's our kind of secret word that maybe you just need to know on the day that you're kind of having a meltdown? Whatever.
Mm,
Just go on with yourself. So, all right, let me like look at my own list here. We're going to talk about book. So some of you have the book and so Paula has taken the quiz. Some of you have taken the quiz. Yay. So I'm going to be mentioning some things from the book. I actually looked at it. I read it. I was one of the first ones to read it and go running over and do a testimonial. We know that that's what people need is social proof. Social proof. So the magnetic female entrepreneur. So inside of there, Mary talks about the secret sauce. She talks about the North Star. She talks about the 1 degree pivot. There's a matrix, a magnetic matrix. So the secret sauce finder, for those of you that don't have the book, I'm just going to give you a quick visual, some circles. Mary probably has a really great Canva of this, but we're just going to be really awkward right here. There's some circles. The secret sauce finder has in there the word empowerment, innovation, and relentless execution. Now, funny story, Behind the scenes, Mary says to me yesterday, "Oh, I think I know the name of my new book." And she says it and, tells me. And then I tell her about what we're going to talk about today. And it says here empowerment, innovation, and relentless execution. She's like, "Where did you see that?" I said, "In your book, boo." So we often forget what's in our own book. We often forget our own chart. Like seriously, we forget that we already wrote a whole manifesto about that thing. We forget that there's like a 17 module workshop thing you already taught on that topic. So remember that, first thing, don't like start creating the damn thing again. You probably already did it. Because guess what? We're all teaching the same thing again and again and again and again. That's called coaching. So that was your sidebar. So Mary,
Squealer.
huh?
You're a squealer.
So I am a squealer. That's my job. What's important about finding our secret sauce? Tell me that.
So this goes back to when we were in London.
Mm,
And I think we got so Rich Litvin gave us these keys when we were in London. The key, and he said, "What's the secret to your future is in your past." Yeah, I don't have mine on my desk. It's on my other desk outside. And I was like, "Oh my God, I think they went out and got those keys just for me." Because at that time, I was trying to burn down my past. I wanted to burn my fashion business. I didn't want to know about that. It was gone. It was like, don't talk to me about clothes. Don't talk to me about fashion. If you do, I'm just going to walk away. I didn't want to know any about it, anything about it. But after that, I started to realize how much of my past I was leaving behind by wanting to burn it down.
mm,
So I started dipping into it, and I actually started doing personal brand sessions with people when I came back. So that what I needed, I was doing for other people as well. And it was all about dipping into your past, finding what's unique about you, your experiences, your superpowers, your challenges along the way, what life looked like when you were a kid, all the things that make you who you are today form your secret sauce. And they're all the bits that we all step over. They're the pieces that we don't capture when we're talking about what it is we want to do and the people that we want to serve and what the impact is. We forget about all of this amazing stuff that's in our past. So the whole secret sauce thing is about capturing all of that. So it's capturing all of that so that we can see that like really where we need to be going is quite obvious. When we sit and we look at it all and we pull it all out, we're like, I was stepping over all of that. So the whole secret sauce finder then at the end is really just capturing the highest level version of what it is that you do. And when I sat with this Venn diagram, I was putting in words and I was like, that's not quite getting it. So innovation, it was like, so innovation is like the highest level of creativity. So creativity was like that creativity went in there first because it's like, I've spent 30 years designing and I'm a creative person. But no, if I take that creativity and I apply it to other things, it becomes more like innovation.
mm-hmm.
It becomes more creating things that haven't existed before or taking things to a higher level. So the secret sauce finder is like, bring that up. It's like, what have you discovered? Okay, what's the higher level of that? And what's the higher level of that again? And what's the higher level of that again?
I love it. I love it. Welcome to those that just jumped on, Karen and Heidi. We're talking about Mary's book, and if you haven't bought it yet, here's one more advertisement. It's called The Magnetic Female Entrepreneur. You too can purchase it on Amazon. And I hope you do. So yeah, I mean, it like this is the part, and Mary said this. She was the first person I heard say this. So we talk the same. So like, what you're saying over, sometimes it's like you begin speaking the same language when you hang out with people. So Mary said to me the words, "You're stepping over." So now I probably say you're stepping over, right? You're stepping over your magnificence. You're stepping over the magic that is you. You're stepping over all the things that your past careers have taught you, and they're in your key, right? So, like what she said, the key to your future is in your past. So she was about ready to throw all that out, be done with it, say, oh, hell no, I don't want to talk about, and she doesn't want to talk about clothes. I've tried. I've tried. And like I mean, she's above that. And that sounds crazy to say such a thing, but she's been there and done that. She's not here to tell you, legging A or legging B, shoe A or shoe B. Like it's how you feel. It's how you feel when you walk out the door in shoe A or shoe B. It's how you put yourself together so that you are the best version of, the most, magnetic version of yourself. That's all that matters. All that matters. And there's a different quiz archetype. There's a different personal style score app to find out. Am I saying this right, Mary?
The style archetypes.
Yeah, yeah. The style archetypes is there's two other quizzes you need to take, just so you know. Because I know this is the way I dress. I'm a creative, hold on, trailblazer athlete. It's, I know those words. I took the quiz. I understand it. I get it. And that is what she talks about in this book, the second book, Unleash Your Inner Goddess. So if you want to know what way you dress and show up, read this one. Take the quiz for that. It'll tell you. Um, because some of you aren't like that. You're more of a minimalist. You can guess which one Mary is. And I mean that's not the title of that. I'm goofing that up. But all that to say, when you pull all of your bits and bobs together is where secret sauce happens. That's where secret sauce happens. And so I want to jump to one of the other things in the book. Is that
Can I
okay?
just clarify something there?
Yes, please.
So
Please.
your style archetype has nothing to do with your secret sauce.
Okay, yeah, help me. Yeah, because so I
Your
think
style archetype is just how you show up. So it's taking, so it's just, I mean, everything that's in this, it's all like mindset stuff and there's nothing to do with clothes in this book.
right.
Nothing to do with clothes in this book. But the whole thing about the clothes is like taking everything that you know, how you want to show up, what it is you're trying to get done, then you choose the clothes that will help you to show up as that person. So that's why it's a whole other, it's like, let's just cut that all off and pull it over there.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that clarification. Yes, I was getting things mixed up a little bit. Um, so that's one whole thing. In this book, you find out actually, so Mary, this is where I'm getting confused on the arc. So they took the magnetic scorecard.
Yeah.
Inside of here, there's the section on like the healer, the connector, the adventurer. Where do they take that assessment?
That one is linked in the book. Is it on my website? I actually think I have the assessments page taken down on my website. I can send you the link for that later.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so the archetypes that are in this book are your personal brand archetypes. It's like how do you show up in your business that makes your business unique and taking that personality and amplifying that so that you stand out from your competitors. So that's
Okay.
really what the brand archetypes are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, and this was really eye-opening for me, right? So okay, thank you for that clarification, and we'll get you guys the link. It's actually at the back of it is here in the back of your book, I think, Mary. The
Hmm.
brand archetype on page 183. Personal
Yeah,
brand archetype.
yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, good. Okay, so let's go next to the 1 degree pivot.
Mm.
Tell us about the 1 degree pivot.
The 1 degree pivot was actually a random chapter that was thrown in after one of my road trips. And I just love the idea of the 1 degree pivot, because something that I discovered about a lot of people like me that wanted to burn everything down because like I've done that, been there, I'm bored, I want to do something new. But what I discovered with a lot of people was all they needed to do was rediscover what it was that they loved about their business in the first place.
Mm.
And the whole thing about the 1 degree pivot. So in the book, I talk about sitting on a beach in County Kerry, sitting on a beach in County Kerry and looking out to sea, and next stop was America. So I decided on my GPS I was going to look and see if I sailed straight across the ocean, where would I end up? So according to GPS, I'd land in Newfoundland. And I was like, I wonder if I just went a little bit that way, where would I end up? And
Mm.
I think that was, I can't remember where that was, but it was somewhere like the other side of the world. But that was literally going from here to here. And as we do, Diane, it's like everything that happens in life, there's an insight. So I was thinking about this as I was driving home, and I was like, oh my God, that's relevant in business too. It's like instead of burning it all down, sometimes we just need to turn and look at it from a slightly different angle, and we see something completely different. And it's funny because that was so relevant to one of the guys in our mastermind who wanted to burn everything down. And I was like, well, what would a 1 degree pivot look like? And he was like, oh my God, that's the answer. So
Mm.
it was just that slight little change, looking at it from a slightly different angle and seeing something completely different.
I love it. I love it so much. So for those following along in the chat, that's page 87. And yeah, I mean, it can be that simple. Often we think in black and white, and we just want to run away from everything. And I know all of you on the screen, and I know you all have wanted to run straight away from all of your things, even in conversations I've had with some of you today. So we we don't have to burn it down. We don't have to run away on holiday for the rest of our life. We don't need to be angry at all the people because we end up getting angry at the people that we're supposed to be caring for and loving and coaching because of our own boundary problems, of our own unwillingness to point the knob a little bit different because we're so afraid. Anybody in the room? Anybody, is anybody here? You guys listening? You with me? Okay, so type in the chat if you like relate to this. Like, oh, I can't go over here. I have to stay with all these people. These are my people, right? And those people might be driving you insane, but these are my people. I'm supposed to be here. I need to be a good girl. I need to not, take off the tape. You guys have, like my unmuted book. I need to not say this, that, and this because they're all gonna stone me. So, okay. Okay, this is not on the question list, but I want to make sure we talk about it.
Okay.
You're behind Mary on her brand new office. You can see some images. And I know what these are about, but Mary, tell them what these pictures are about behind you on the wall and how that came to be.
How it came to be. It's funny actually, because sometimes it's just when you create the space to play, magical things can happen. So, how they started out was I had discovered Mid-Journey, and I was doing caricatures in Mid-Journey for my fashion customers, and I was getting them to send me a description of who they were. I thought this would be a great way to get to know people. Send me a description of who they are, what they like, what do people say about them, what's their best feature, trying to get people to focus on what their best feature was. And I went down the rabbit hole for a whole day creating these caricatures for people and sending them to them. And they were like, oh my God, that's so me. That's so me. I was addicted. I was addicted to this. So I made one of them for Rich Litvin when we were going to Santa Fe because I'm a big lick arse. And that's what you do when you're a big lick arse. It's like bringing an apple to your teacher. I decided I was going to do a caricature for Rich. Spent another half day trying to get that so perfectly like him. So
Like,
anyway, Rich loved it. And Rich said to me, he said, oh my God, he says, you need to do these for your clients. And I was like, that's genius. That is genius. So I call this my fiery mission wall.
mm,
My aim is to fill this whole wall with fiery missions. And I've started doing fiery mission sessions with people. I just got off one. I'm still buzzing after the one that I got off earlier, where it's like in 45 minutes, she went from chasing five different rabbits to having one fiery mission that she is focused on for the next 3 years. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, this is amazing. I love it. So anyway, when I get to the fiery mission, what I do is I do a caricature for the person. I send one to them to remind them of their power. And I say to them, I hope you will put this somewhere where you're going to see it every day so that you will be reminded of who you are, how powerful you are, and it will keep you focused. And I get another one for my wall.
So you see how good this is, my friends. Um, and yeah, Mary's really the maestro of I don't even know. I've never used Midjourney. I use Canva and AI, ChatGPT. But like I'm telling you, when she was over there doing this, there's a really great one, few of me with like different glasses, and then she made me one of me chasing rabbits. Like there's a lot of different rabbit ones she made, and she like sends them to me, when I'm off like running, doing stupid, ridiculous, crazy things. And I'm like, oh yeah, oh yes, thank you. And then there's a really funny one she made for me. I'll send it to you guys later. It says, no dawdlers allowed. Like because I like to work with action taking women, right? Anyway, I love that wall. The wall is growing. This setup you see Mary in is within the last like 3 weeks. This all happened over Christmas. In the past, she would be like she said, I would see her sitting at her kitchen table. I mean, she was sitting in like in all these cattywampus places. I'm like, how is your back not broken? So she actually has a proper coaching desk, a proper a stand-up desk. She has a beautiful wall that is really compelling for clients to see, right? And like, what is that back there? Well, how can I get on there? Right? That's intriguing. That's intriguing. Anything else on that, Mary, before I go to my next question?
Yeah, I've just realized when we were talking about it that it's just so much fun.
Mm,
And I get really inspired when I'm having fun.
hmm
And it can just send you in so many different crazy fun directions. I know, no, don't chase the rabbits, but we have to leave space for the fun as well. And I think like there's so much inspiration that comes when we're having that fun and
So,
playing with our business.
so then my coaching question for you is how do we, because I love fun and I love rabbits. How do I know which things of how do I know? How do I know what thing is a rabbit versus what this is a part of my fiery fun mission? How do we, or me, or everybody, anybody here listening, how do we decide that?
I think it's really hard to do it on your own
Hmm.
because it's and like to so many, I'm sure that like there's probably plenty of people here who are coaches, so they know the whole thing with the coach and reflecting things and all the rest, and having somebody to draw that out. I think I see how that gets people there really fast, and I see how it's like that stepping over your magic. You do that when you're on your own because it's funny actually because um I've just got an invitation to be in Rich Littman's high-end community. And I said to him, I need to know why I was invited in here because, I'm not anywhere near where all these other coaches are. And he said, it's because of your business mind and your entrepreneurial spirit. And I was like, oh, really? Is that it? Oh, okay, I can do that. So it's like,
Hmm.
I've written this book. I was still stepping over that. So I think it's having somebody to draw all that out, but also it's like the whole thing for me about the fiery mission is it stops you from chasing the rabbits. It's
Hmm.
like if you have that North Star, it's like what's the biggest dream? What is the biggest thing that you can envision that you could possibly do without thinking about the things that will get in your way.
Mm,
Okay, so what's a bigger version of that? Okay, what's a bigger version of that? And what if it looked like this? And suddenly, like, you're like, oh my God, could I actually do that?
mm,
And that's what I had with the lady I've just got off the call with. She was like, oh, and like, could that magazine be mine? And I was like, well, who else is going to own it? It's yours, girl. So it is, it's like, going back to your question, how do you get to that? I think everybody knows what theirs is. If you could own, if you had to burn everything down and you could only grab one thing, that's a really good place to start.
great question. Is everybody taking notes here? Yeah, I see that. I see that. And even as you were talking, just thinking about, you and I talked a lot yesterday on the call we were on about, what's the like, what is our filter? How to get people get through the front gate? Are we letting everybody through the gate? And then we wonder why we're exhausted, right? But like what's the secret passcode, right? How do they get in? And who gets invited into your party that's at your home because it's your energy. It's your energy. It's your North Star. And a lot of times it's like, oh, that's too big. I need to come back. That North Star is too crazy. I can't even say that out loud. Come on back. Right. And what Mary was just saying, like things started probably to come to my mind, hopefully to your mind, like, oh, but like as soon as you think of it, it's like there's this secret whisper that like comes right underneath. Who are you to think that? Right? And wait a minute, get back in your seat, girl. Shut up. So maybe I'm the only one that has like voices like that in my head, but I don't think so because we are called, we are on a mission. A lot of the women here, we're women of faith. It's like, okay, what's my movement? Where am I going? What is that North Star for me and the people I'm leading? And it's a lot of it's about self-leadership, self-coaching, learning how to ask yourself these shit hard questions and sitting with yourself long enough to have the answer. And then actually like doing the 1%, right? Doing the pivot and not going backwards. It's really easy to go back and like hide with our little cubby hole with our peeps. Um,
Can I
so
say one more thing about the whole fiery mission thing? And I know I've got a lot of resistance.
go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
know, I know there's days when you've said to me, oh, go away with your fiery mission. The whole thing about the fiery mission is when you find it, everything else falls away because that becomes your filter for everything.
Mm,
You can still have all the adventures and you can still go off piste a little bit, but if you've got a fiery mission, you know where you're headed. You're directionally correct.
mm,
And it means that when you're trying to get to this place, yes, there's going to be adventures and there's going to be mountains and we can't see over the hill and all of that stuff. But we start to recognize the things that are a complete waste of our time.
mm,
Is that getting me closer to where I want to go? No. If it's not, it's a no. And so that automatically makes saying no easier as well.
mm.
So there's so many things that you get from having that fiery mission. It gets you out of bed in the morning. It gets you saying no to everything. It stops you from chasing rabbits. It gets you dreaming that bigger dream and doing the things you have to do to get there.
Yeah. So Heidi just thank you for clarifying. Heidi said if you've got a fiery mission, you are directionally correct.
Mm.
Yeah. And it gives you that litmus test, that filter to know, okay, wait a minute, and this is this a yes, no, or not yet? Or not ever, maybe. But sometimes we have to force ourselves. Some of you are yes people, some of you are no people. You know which one you are. And and lots of times we need to stretch to go the other direction. Like for me, it's a stretch to say no. right? For some of you, it's a stretch to say yes. And so you're gonna like, I mean, and both are hard. It's just which one is your heart? You know, which one is your heart in order to leave space enough so that you can actually hear your own voice, maybe have a minute to write down some thoughts, maybe be able to ask and pray and journal and go to the coffee shop or go on the road trip, wherever you need to go to actually have open space to hear your own North Star. Because the whole world wants to tell you what it is, or they want to sell you what theirs is. Mm? Okay, Mary and I could go on like 100 more years having talks. I'm gonna like ask a scary yet fun question. Let's see, that statement from Mary just stood up. So I'm gonna ask this last question, then we're gonna open it up. You can ask questions, you can tell Mary how wonderful she is, which is important because she is. So the best question of all, Mary, what is it like to be business besties with moi?
It is a wild ride. Every single day, it's a wild ride. Every single day, I'm looking at my phone and I'm like, oh, it's quarter to 12 down. I'll be up now. I'll be getting a message in a couple of minutes. And it's just, there's so much that we move on just from our back and forth conversation, but we just have so much fun as well.
Hmm.
We have so much fun. Yeah, it's been like, it hasn't been perfect. There's been times when we probably didn't like each other very much, but you're getting to know somebody and all the rest. But it's a lot of fun. I think having a business bestie is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want fun. I want fun in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we are very different and yet very much the same. And I love that. And we have butted heads sometimes. And we've had moments where it's like, okay, wait a minute, what just happened? And guess what? You're going to have that with your friends. You're going to, you probably have that with your spouse too, and maybe your children. Like, what the hell just happened? And we've worked through it. And that's friendship and that's love. And I'm here to say, I mean, I've walked with Mary through lots of hard shit, and she's walked with me through hard shit. This woman last year when my dad died, which was a year ago today, she offered to fly over from Ireland. Who does that? Who does that? That's a good friend. And I said, thank you, but you don't need to do that. I'll see you, I'll see you in May when we're going to see each other. Oh, Bisha has hearts coming up from her thing. I know, right? I love you, Mary. I'm glad that my people got to hang out with you. Let's open it up. I'm going to take us off the spotlight and let people have the chat, ask the things. Let me see here. We're going to remove our spotlights and bring us back to the room. Hello, everybody. Um, anybody have it's open mic time. I'm scared, but it's open mic time. Ask Mary anything, and maybe share an insight. We work in the realm of insights
Mhm.
and takeaways. So what's the nugget you're taking away from here? And then if you have a question, we'd love to have that as well. So
I have one.
go ahead, Paula.
Okay, so I wanted to make sure I clearly understood this because I too have a star in everything that I do, and I love the idea of the North Star. My question is, I want to adapt that for myself and not directly steal Mary's things, but I want to make sure I'm understanding the correlation. So what you're saying is the fiery mission leads you to that bright, shining North Star, correct?
They're the same thing. Your fiery
The
mission is
same
your North
thing.
Star. Yeah.
Okay, it's the exact same thing. Okay, and you have an assessment that helps someone get from point A to point B, correct?
No. No, I
Okay,
don't have an assessment for that.
okay, so your coaching then, that experience helps them get from point A to point B. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood because I'm like, that's brilliant. I need to use that terminology but I've got to do it in a way that's it's mine, right? I can't steal. So, okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, because Paula has a book and it's built around her five pillars and it is, a star.
Yeah,
Um, so and yeah, Mary, this is what Mary gets paid for, right? So Mary's just
right.
she gets paid to do, and she has some new things. She has a mastermind starting. She has some implementation, like 1 month VIP months. Actually, she
Mhm.
has four really cool ones. I see her website a lot. And it's like, oh, look at that new thing on there. But great question and great clarification. So, who else has a insight or question? And I know some people need to pop off. If you need to leave fast, unmute and come to the table.
Well, I'll go.
Yes, Tisha.
All right. Well, thank you for the invite, Diane and Mary. Enjoyed listening to both you and Diane. So, a couple of things came up for me. The self-leadership conversation was confirmation. I don't know, like most people, I think, creatives in the zone, when you're in the shower, you get all these inspirations, and that's why I was in the shower this morning. It's like self-leadership. That's what's needed is self-leadership. So that was a confirmation. So bam for that one. Then the conversation around business bestie. I'd like to explore that a little bit more because I am an extreme introvert. Um, and I think especially in the coaching world, sometimes people will attach themselves to you. And what I find is sometimes they take more than they give. And so as I listen to both of you, it sounds like it's very reciprocal relationship because everybody's not going to be your client. Sometimes I think you need just somebody you can talk to. It's not like I'm going to sign you up. It's just I want to throw ideas and also know that my ideas are going to be plastered on your website next week.
Mhm.
So, and I'm just being real. So how does that, how, I'm just really interested in that process of really finding someone that, hey, I want to bless you and we'll be a blessing to each other. We'll be that person who says, hey, I'll fly from the freaking UK to come and support you.
Mm.
Right. And that is truly a relationship that is based on mutual respect. And I just want to be here for you. And if I'm in a room and I hear an opportunity, I'm going to tell you about it. And if you're vice versa. So, yeah, I'll just stop there because I think that was a beautiful piece right there about having a business bestie. And in these social media streets, you hear people like, oh, that's my business bestie. But again, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, Mary, do you want to, is there anything you want to share related to what these should, I think that was a question. I heard
Yeah.
some questions.
Question. Yeah. How
What's the
did you
question?
know? I found my business bestie.
Um, how did I know? Well, I didn't know before I landed in Phoenix. So we'd already been on Zoom calls and that. And honestly, I thought she was a bit mad. This one's a raving lunatic. But we just really connected in person. And we just started chatting from, when I came back, and it just started off from there, really. We started having side conversations, and it was just a very natural thing.
Hmm.
Like, we were very lucky.
Yeah, I mean, it was organic, and you can't just, like I said, put out a post, I'm looking for a business. I mean,
Right.
and I don't pay her for coaching. I mean, I have bought some clothes from her, you know. I buy her book, she buys my book, right? So we're not in a coaching. I mean, we're both coaches and we coach each other all the time, but we're friends. And sometimes it's like, I just need my friend.
Mm.
And you can decide that. And I'm friends with a lot of you guys too. They're my clients. And I don't believe that's wrong. I mean, we spend a lot of time together. We're like doing the things, but sometimes it's like, hey, this is coach. I need to be coach Diane right now. And sometimes you just need friend Diane. And sometimes it's the same same Voxer chat. And I'm gonna say two different answers. Um,
Mm.
but sometimes, I have separate coaches. Mary and I buy coaching programs. If you're not being coached, don't you dare try to sell coaching. Don't you dare, right? Like we are in some that are together, and then we do some separate, and that's good because it's variety and it's flavor. And hey, what goes on over there? Not like she's gonna share all their worksheets, but what's it like in that place over there? And one time she told me about one lady's that she's in. I'm like, oh my gosh, I almost bought that. Like we have these little confession moments. I'm like, okay, I need to tell you, I just bought this thing. And she's like, oh damn. And she's like, well, I bought this. I'm like, I almost bought that a year ago. I like did a sales call with the lady and everything. But sometimes it's like, okay, well, that's great. Divide and conquer, right? Because maybe you just need 10% of what's in that 100 part of that program.
Yeah. Well, I think it's beautiful what you have, and I went online to Amazon, and I just told my sister 30 minutes before I logged in. I said, I'm not buying any more books this year.
Yeah, right. It's good to see you, Tisha.
Good to see you.
Okay, who else has an insight or a question? I know some of you maybe have a short amount of time, so jump in if you are time limited today. Heidi, you time limited over there in grandbaby world? Are you okay?
Well, I think I'm okay unless the monitor goes off any minute.
Okay. Well, any insights or questions while you're here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, I typed that statement because when Mary said, if you've got a fiery mission, you're directionally correct. There's just something, I don't know, that just struck a chord with me and it felt peaceful. There's a lot of talk in the quiz about alignment. And I think part of what I'm struggling with is aligning my business vision, my family vision, my life, like the overlapping pieces, how do you mm, balance the multiple fiery missions? Because I know they're supposed to only have one for business, but my fiery mission for my business and my fiery mission for my family are equally intense right now.
Mhm.
And so trying to balance all of that, um, I think has been kind of where I'm sort of muddling in the rabbits and in the distractions.
Mm. I think the word alignment again. And I think the fiery vision for your business really needs to come second to the fiery vision for your life and your family,
Mm.
because we don't want that to cannibalize every waking moment. So the whole thing about it was like that session that I just got off with that girl. She's working 6 days a week, and I was like, "Do you want to work 6 days a week?" And she's like, "Well, no, my kids are teenagers now. I'd like to work five." And I said, "Well, what about four?" And she says, "I never thought of four." So suddenly now she's thinking about 4 days a week, and we're like, "Okay, so reverse engineer everything so that it's the 4 days a week, not 6 days or not 5 days." So it's like it's that balance of, what do I want my life to look like now? What do I need to do to reverse engineer that? And I need to think, like talking about the family thing, is there's always going to be phases where family is going to need more of us, and business is going to have to take a bit of of a back seat. But that's fine. If you have that fiery mission and you have your North Star, that's okay. Because maybe you just have to go a little bit slower for now.
Mm.
That's how I see it anyway. I see everything in pictures.
Pretty sure that you just said exactly what Heidi needed to hear today. Yeah. And Heidi's program is about, she has a book and a signature course and everything about a season of you. Am I saying it right? A season of me. a season of me. And the whole premise is that, I mean, and she's having to walk through what she's, of course, writing a book about, which is what we all have to do. Like, oh, damn, I have to do the thing I said was so cool in the book. Is that, are we allowed to take a season or a sabbatical or a moment or a month or a trip and actually take good care of ourselves? And the seasons of our life are different when you have little kids or medium kids or college kids or no kids. And not
Mhm.
comparing my season to yours, they're just different flavors, different lives. And I can't look at yours and go, well, I want to be like that. Well, that's not my situation. And I mean, Mary, like I said at the beginning, I don't know if you were on, Heidi. I mean, when Mary went through a divorce, the kids were 5, 3, and 1. Did I do that right?
Mhm.
5, 3, and 1. Girl and 2 boys. And what other choice did she have, right? To hustle her ass off and build a business. Hustle her ass off and make money to pay for the mortgage, to pay for food, to pay to get them to go to the colleges, with no help from the ex, right? So, that's a different season than she's in now because they're in their 20s, 30s. So honoring the season with alignment.
Yeah. And even finding alignment within that season, because even when my kids were small, like a lot of what I did was at nighttime when they were in bed.
Mm,
So it was still finding that balance in that difficult season. It's like, well, what am I trying to do here? What am I trying to do? And what am I going to say no to?
mm,
I got really good at saying no. And the whole thing about your fiery mission and your North Star is it makes it so much easier to say no. So you can do less, you can do more in less time. So when I went online with my fashion business, and I didn't say anything about this earlier, but because I keep stepping over this stuff. But I went from running 2 stores and having 9 of a team to doing everything online. I'm doing 80% of the turnover I had with 2 stores on my own with no help. I ship the orders, I do it all, and I do it in a few hours a week. Like that should not be possible. That should not be possible, but that was my intention to be able to do it in a few hours so I could still have the income, but I could focus on my coaching.
mhm. And tell them how many orders you shipped since Christmas. The number is ungodly.
540,
Uh-huh.
and that since the 26th of December.
Paula has a question.
I did I unmute? Okay, here we go. There, now. Okay. I'm curious. I thought you said you weren't doing any more with fashion. Does that mean that you, like, since Christmas decided you're not doing anymore? Or,
I decided last September, and what it actually means is I'm not doing a launch in March. So the whole So basically, what I got a sabbatical from was designing a collection, managing the production, doing a launch. I got to
okay,
take 1 season out of doing all of that. But
okay,
I still want to keep the income, so I'm still shipping orders and I'm still doing basic things on the site. But the whole thing about those 500 orders that went out the door since Christmas was I wanted to fill my pot for my sabbatical so that I could have a runway till September and not have to think about the finances. So that's what that was about.
okay, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, you are still doing it just differently, is what I hear you say.
Yeah, so the sabbatical really will start to take effect from the end of this month because it means I'm
Oh,
not going to be doing the whole runway for a launch. So I'm not
the
going to
runway
do
part.
photo
Okay,
shoots and the website and all of the stuff that just takes up a lot of time coming up to a launch. So I'm
sure.
free for a season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Well,
Thanks.
great question. Okay, anybody else want to pop in with an insight or a question? Now's your moment.
I just want to highlight what we heard there, which was kind of what I talk about all the time is Mary decided that she could give herself permission to have one season look different. She
Mm,
didn't have to burn down the, like she didn't have to give up. the business. She doesn't have to be done completely, right? And even in what I wasn't here to hear it, but even what Paula heard was done completely, right? And I think so often women think they can't give themselves permission to do something different, even for a season. So I just liked hearing that, Mary. It's affirmation that I'm onto something in some of what I do also. So I appreciate that, Mary.
Right.
Love it. Diana or Ruth, any last comments? Are you good?
Well, I'll just say, Mary, thank you for talking about you wanted to burn down, but you didn't. I mean, what we just heard is you're doing it different. And I will say that I did take the assessment. I felt like it was, for me, where I am right now, it was really right on because I'm kind of in a season where I wanted to burn down something, but it's not working out for me to burn it down because clients are coming where I wanted to burn them down. So it's kind of like, and go to what Heidi said, maybe it's just time to learn to do that differently and not burn it down completely. So you gave me some clarity and something to think about.
Right.
Love it.
I just say something about the assessments that I only realized yesterday, saying it to Diane. I am a total geek for making assessments. I absolutely love it. I love getting inside people's heads. I actually feel quite guilty when I'm looking at how people answered the questions because I think it's like I'm getting inside their heads and I should not be in their heads like this. The whole thing about assessments, and I only realized it yesterday, it's just another form of asking a question. And people say that to me all the time. It's like, oh my God, it's so bang on for where I'm at. I'm like, yeah, but you answered the question. I'm only reflecting back what you told me when you answered the question. So anybody can have an assessment like that. Just saying.
And yeah, I mean, what I just heard is our job is to ask better questions, right? Ask ourselves, put them into your intake forms, put them into quizzes, put them in, make those filters so that you're actually working with the people you really want to work with, right? And it's true for business and it's true for dating. Like, a lot of I mean, I was on lots of dating apps, went through 29 first dates. Like, there was a whole lot of guys that like didn't make the cut. And we need to be that, like laser sharp on what we want in clients as well.
Mm.
Yeah. All right, friends. Thank you, Mary, for your time. Oh, Ruth, you're off.
Yes, yes. No, I just wanted to, first of all, thank you, Mary and Diane, for this opportunity. I thoroughly enjoyed listening, and I'm looking forward to ordering your books and digging in. And I think you brought a lot of clarity with, once you find your fiery mission, everything else falls to the wayside. That helps me a lot as a person in ministry. I often wear a lot of hats, too many hats. And now that I'm in a season where I can burn away a couple of things, I really have to ask myself some hard questions to be able to refine. And I think that's part of one of the reasons why I'm struggling to really hone in to make what I want to happen because I'm thinking, well, I have to do all these other things. Then you feel guilty and you feel like, well, if I don't, then I let these people down. And I realize that I can't live my life that way. I'm not going to be able to please everybody. And that God will use me to my fullest potential when I can really hone into that and become creepily specific with what God is calling me to do. So thank you so much for clarifying that.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Can I just say something there, Ruth, that kind of popped into my head when you were saying that? Um, we all have so many things that we could do and all have so many things that other people want us to do, but we can still serve those people by signposting them to somebody else. Like those things that we want to cut away, find somebody else that can do that and just direct people to those people.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not leaving them flailing and why can't you do it for me? I just gave you somebody else who can do it.
Right. Yeah, so good. All right, friends, and Mary, bestie. I'm going to close with a little tiny prayer and then we're going to be off. God, thank you for this time and learning and finding our North Star and then doing it. Amen. All right, I will get this uploaded, downloaded around. Mary, thank you. I'll talk to you in a few minutes in Telegram.
Thanks, Diane.
All
Thanks,
right,
ladies. Bye.
bye.